Attorney General Eric Schneiderman has sent cease and desist letters to 4 national retailers to stop selling certain nutritional supplements in New York. When you shop for your dietary supplements, as 150 million Americans do each year, you may not be getting what you paid for. It's possible that some store-brand herbal supplements from GNC, Target, Walmart, and Walgreens don't contain what's on their label, or have ingredients that are not listed. The Attorney General's office has tested 6 different supplements from the 4 retailers, including echinacea, ginseng, and St. John's wort. They found that more often than not, the ingredients on the labels didn't match what is inside. At GNC, for instance, tests showed that labels were accurate only 20% of the time. Unlabeled ingredients included asparagus, rice, primrose, clover, spruce, houseplants, and legumes. The Attorney General's investigation was sparked by a similar Canadian study last year, but advocates for nutritional supplements believe the study was flawed.
This was a highly criticized and highly controversial study. So many people accepted it.
But Consumer Reports, which has been studying supplements, says there is a real reason for concern.
This is a $30 billion industry. It is certainly also the case that consumers are forking over a lot of money for products that are basically worthless, do very little to advance their health. So there's an economic fraud aspect to the dietary supplement industry.
There's one part of our vision that will truly be a game changer. It's an opportunity to keep our city affordable for thousands of New Yorkers, particularly in the borough of Queens. I'm referring to Sunnyside Yards.
The mayor and his supporters stress that it is essential to create these units and have better infrastructure in Western Queens because middle and lower income families are struggling to make ends meet. This development comes with the potential for better schools, open spaces, and improved mass transit, especially on the 7 line. Bob Liff, a senior vice president of George Arts Communications, a company that works with developers, agrees with the mayor.
You have a city in which the middle is being hollowed out, and you can't have a city where people who work, the working class, the middle class, the people who keep this city going, private sector, public sector, can't afford to live here.
But New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo says that the 200-acre Sunnyside Yard is off limits because it is an active rail yard for the MTA, which is crucial to the city's transportation system.
Started playing instruments when I was 11, in 6th grade. I picked up the trumpet. It was very awesome. I had a very, very good experience. But then I really fell in love with music when I started playing trombone a year later. It's probably like my favorite instrument. I learned all the brass instruments. I learned drums. I was a classically trained musician and just had a really good experience.
This is Edwin Lorenzo.
I love Kanye West. I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. I guess like you could say hip hop, it's rather easy. I'm also big into rock, old school rock. So you talk about like David Bowie and Kiss and some things that you may not expect from a teenager in the Bronx.
Listening to music at high volumes on headphones and earbuds for tablets and smartphones has made some 1.1 billion 12 to 35-year-olds hearing impaired, according to the World Health Organization.
I had never made the connection that my migraines were towards how I was listening to music, but prior to getting any type of the way that the migraines were hurt me most would be in my ear. So I probably should have checked into it a little sooner, but that's where literally most of the pain would be in the back of my ear. And it was due to the fact that I was listening to music at really high frequencies.
There's something about when you're young, you think you're invulnerable. I mean, I remember feeling that way about everything when I was young, and I think that's part of life. But I think people have to understand that you have to take preventive measures if you want to stay healthy, hearing healthy throughout your life.
2 years ago, Davina Perez's life would change forever.
One night, Halloween night, the young boy, all he said to me was, he said, "Give me your bag with a gun." This same young boy took his gun and shot into me 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I heard the bullets 6 times. He took the bag and ran off. And the way you're standing, I was just standing there in shock. I didn't drop to the floor. I didn't know what happened to me. All I know is he shot at me 6 times and I was still alive. I was surprised that I'm still alive, and now I have to speak out against gun violence and gang violence. This is why Put Down the Guns is here.
With the help of world-class boxing trainers, the Judah brothers, Davina created a new program called Beyond Boxing. At the Judah Brothers gym, Davina says young people get their anger out in the ring instead of out on the street.
We got a program where we bring them in here, we teach them the box, of course, but we teach them the education part. We teach them confidence. We teach them how to, deal with other people. We teach them how to get along. You know what I mean? The program is beautiful. It's for the young kids coming up. Instead of them joining the gangs, the Crips, the Bloods, and all that there, we bring them in this program and we teach them and we train them and we do a lot of things with them.
I have anger management since I was a little kid, so I used to always get in trouble in the street. So this is all, very easily. I could have been in jail right now. I dedicated myself to boxing and it really changed my life. My trainer's Gus, he's like one of the best trainers. He really got me in shape within the month. I really love everything about it. It's all hard work and dedication.
If you're just joining us, you probably already know the World Trade Center towers, the Twin Towers, the New York landmarks have collapsed and are gone. A series of hijackings apparently today at the root of this. Hundreds, if not thousands, are injured.
New York Congresswoman Carolyn Maloney saw how the tragedy of 9/11 affected residents, volunteers, and first responders and decided to do something about it.
Because the men and women who worked on the pile were exposed to toxins like never before. Pulverized gas and oil and chemical, and many people are now just getting sick. We lost 3,000 people on 9/11, but thousands and thousands more lost their health, and thousands more have died since 9/11.
9 years later, she passed the Zadroga bill. The bill provides $4 billion in health care and compensation to them. One of those directly impacted by the bill was Ken George, a crew member of the Department of Transportation.
It was like the gates of hell opened up. It was pitch black, and all you had, the light was from the flames that were going on.
12 hours a day for the next 6 months, he searched for survivors while he inhaled toxic gases.
I wound up with restricted airway disease, which means I can't get enough oxygen in and I can't let enough oxygen out. Tore my lungs apart, basically. That's why I'm on an oxygen tank when I have to use it. I wound up with post-traumatic stress.
Coping with Ken's PTSD has not been easy for his wife, Cynthia.
Now I'm sitting home not knowing if he's going to do something. Take out a tool and cut himself, by accident, or is he going to fall down the stairs because the medication isn't agreeing with him?
Ken relies on financial aid to pay for his 30 medications, which he takes daily.
He's gotten better. He has. Not a whole lot. Back to where he was? No. But he's gotten better. It's more livable. After the medicine being adjusted. I just hope they don't change anything else on the medicine.
But now, Ken and 70,000 Americans across the U.S. fear they will lose benefits, including their 9/11 health specialists, because Maloney's bill will expire in October 2015.
When Zadroga came along, there was an entire experience and database of conditions that were related to the World Trade Center exposure. And Zadroga allows us to treat conditions that are related to that exposure.
Welcome to 219 West, a news program produced by students here at the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism. I'm NaeishaRose. On 219 West, we bring you topics and stories that you can't find anywhere else. This month, we're bringing you stories from across the city. First up, Natasha Scully shows us how broken windows policing has gone underground.
it just it says more about the people listening to the news than it does about the newscasters and the networks, because this isn't anything new.
It's journalism at its worst. I can't even take what they say as credible. They're not credible anymore.
What journalists should do is respond to the people and to their grievances.
Talk to the people who are on the front lines of what's happening in Baltimore. Hear their stories and report that.
Find out what is the actual true history and go from there.
Focus on the poverty, the lack of education, the lack of equality, the injustice in our justice system.
You have to change the language.
Uprising, it's revolt, it's rebellion.
Active resistance. Resistors. Revolutionaries.
They should be called people. I definitely think they should just be called people.
One thing that I was left wondering was, like, how do you, if it's a riot, like, how do you call it? Like, what else do they want you to call it? Like, how do you report on this with totally neutral language?
Right, and I think that's a really important point. What I think the protesters are saying is that there were peaceful protests and there was quiet marching before all this happened. They're not saying that we should abandon the term riot. Like one of them said, rioting is a form of expression, right? So we don't want to totally lose that, but we want to also paint the whole picture of, you know, this is what was happening before the cameras descended, before the stores started being, you know, broken into. Like there's a bigger picture that the media isn't portraying.
So clearly it seems that, like, there's a racial undercurrent to this conversation, right? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
This language has a racial element to it.
Absolutely, and I think that was one of the main points that the protesters were saying.
When you see people at sports games, mostly white people, looting, turning over cars over my team lost a big game, versus people that are trying to fight for humanity, fight so that their young children don't get shot at because they're wearing a hoodie or they're going to the store late at night. I think it's...
But what do you hear, though? I mean, what does the media call it in those situations? Do they...
They call it like a moment of unrest, or kids being unruly or getting out of hand. You don't
You're
really
saying they
hear
wouldn't
them.
call it a riot?
You wouldn't hear, oh, their kids are rioting at the Coliseum. You hear moments of unrest, or they're being unruly.